or that of Crier Media or their partners. The show may cover sensitive topics and information and discuss triggering issues. Listener discretion is advised.
Check 1 2. Nice to see you. Good to be seen. My name is Dean. Welcome back to the program.
Hold on,
we have
that
a heavy
rhyme.
one for you today. What are you talking?
Look
What do
at
you
you,
mean?
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. Yeah, green eggs and ham. I like to rhyme all in time. Whatever. Lochlin Cross joins us today as well. And ladies and gentlemen, before we get to P-Diddy, before we get to all manner of relationships, would you allow your significant other to use your browser? Please welcome to the program a friend of Lochlin's. He was a fixture on the locker room, still is, because the locker room is alive and well. We'll get to a retro replay of that later. Please welcome to the program the man, the myth, the Canadian wrestling legend, Massive Damage for Monster Pro Wrestling. Nice to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, dude, you look like you just ate someone for breakfast.
I feel like this is my fourth podcast of the day, so my brain is a little fucking fuzzy right now from all this computer.
We had some technical
shit.
difficulties, but we got it sorted out. We got it sorted out,
Let's get into that because, Locke, you know this gentleman. You've known him for a long time, and he is like legitimately a throwback, right? Like, explain who Massive Damage is and how you guys know each other real quick.
Okay, so years ago, I think Massive does a lot for the community. He's a very charitable soul. Gives his time back to a number of different things, and so did the locker room. And so our paths crossed a number of times. And I think our relationship sort of developed a little bit more than just sort of bumping into each other at the odd event when Massive took on Jimmy from the locker room as a member of Monster Pro Wrestling, which Massive Damage is the founder and head sort of promoter of that organization, which is a local thing here in Edmonton that has bounced back significantly from COVID, Massive.
Yeah. That's really what happened was COVID. I reached out and, we'd been shut down and we're only allowed to have half capacity and, all the stupid fucking rules they put in place. So we were literally struggling. So I lost a couple rings and all of that. I had a building with 2 rings where I was training guys. They got sold like right out from under me and my rings disappeared with that. So I was pretty stressed out. I reached out to Locke and then Locke goes, buddy, you got to see this guy. I got this guy. You're going to love him. He's a midget. And that's the first thing. I know we could say that here. And I could, fucking right. Because in wrestling, we're allowed to say midget entertainers. It says it right on the posters because that's what the gimmick is. So, these fucking leftists and these fucking people that have, the pole shoved so far up their ass that you can't say the goddamn word because it's not an insult to anybody. It's describing a man's goddamn fucking height. But I digress. Anyway, I met Jimmy, and Jimmy has become one of my very good friends. I've worked with a lot of midget entertainers in my life, and we know a lot of the same guys. His mentor is a guy I've traveled with for years, and I reconnected them. So the story it's got multiple layers to it, right? Locke and I have been friends for years. There's a very mutual respect because we do a lot of charity stuff. I like to do more stuff for kids. Obviously, the locker room does a lot of stuff everywhere, and that's how we met years and years ago.
Yeah, community-minded, right? Like, there's no more community-minded person on the radio in this country that I've encountered than my friend Lochlin Cross. And I think there are like-minded values that bring people together. And what I've learned about you, Monster Pro Wrestling, and we're going to get to the legend of Massive Damage in just a second. You're very, very similar. I mean, it's not for you. It's about community, and I find that to be, so incredibly valuable and such a principle of all these wrestling communities. It's like, hey, we're going to provide you a place to come and just be yourself, come and perform, come and do something you're passionate about and you enjoy. And we don't really care where you come from. And to your point, I'm still allowed to call you a midget because that's what it's called, midget gimmick wrestling, right? Like that's
it is.
Yeah,
it's a fucking word. Like it blows me away that people get so upset about a word. It just like Locke will tell you, I'm a throwback person. I just bought my first laptop computer. I've never had a laptop in my life before, and we just had a freaking mess with it.
Trust me, we know. Yeah.
Hit your Google Chrome. Fuck off. Hit your Google. What the fuck's a Google Chrome? Well, do you have a mouse? I don't see any. I fucking hope not. This is a new place, like it's all fucking French to me. I don't get that shit. I'm a throwback guy, right?
Yeah, okay, let's get into the throwback guy too, because Monster Pro Wrestling is an institution out in Edmonton, Alberta. You guys are your lifers, your gamers, you're passionate people. But Lochlin, when he explained this to you, he's like, you're gonna get a kick out of this guy. Like, he doesn't even have a real cell phone. He doesn't really engage in the internet.
But I do have a cell phone. I'm on a fucking thing right now, Lochlin. I can't believe you thought I have a flip phone.
Okay, how long ago did you get rid of the flip phone?
This iPhone I've had for at least 2 years. The flip phone.
Okay, so you've had a flip phone before that. Yeah, yeah. It's 2024.
Is it that? Holy cow. Where did time go?
But no, it's throwback shit. Like, do you have a fanny pack still? Are you one of those guys?
Oh man, that's the only thing I've ever worn my whole life. I wouldn't have a wallet if I didn't wear the thing. My wallet would be gone. I have so much miscellaneous stuff in that thing, gum and ID and my business cards and change. Where do you put change nowadays?
This guy still carries around change. You're right. He is a throwback. And the fanny pack, I got a buddy. He's one of the most authentic individuals you'll ever meet. His name's Rick. And about 5 years ago, he shows up to my house and he's wearing sweatpants and he's like you. He's a throwback. He's 57. He's a workout guy. He's a bodybuilder. And he does not believe in technology, and he has never given up the fucking fanny pack.
He showed up in his fucking fanny pack, his fucking Zubaz pants, his cut off fucking shirt.
Yeah,
I got to meet that guy. That's my brother.
Yeah, you do. Hey, listen, let's get to your career. You started wrestling when you're in 1996.
That was my first ever match, but I broke in. I'd been training prior to that, but 96 was the first match I ever got paid for.
Yeah. Do you know how many matches you've had, professional matches you've had?
There are over 2,000 for sure, probably around 2,500, I'd say. I'm a 30-year vet.
Well, dude, this is the thing. Like, Monster Pro Wrestling, and a lot of people know this, and we've got some people in the network that are big wrestling fans. Kareem Assad, she's a huge wrestling fan. Anytime Raw comes to town, anytime there's an independent show in Mississauga, Brampton, et cetera.
There's lots in your area, too. There are lots of wrestling shows in your area.
Well, this is what I want to ask you about. Independent wrestling itself is not just alive and well. Independent wrestling has seen this and no matter what you think of it, has seen this incredible boom over the last little bit, right? Where you've got people
thriving.
Yeah, why? Explain that to me.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the times, right? So, I mean, I'm going to compare this. It's not really a comparison, but I think you'll understand where I'm going with this. Like, you watched Wayne Gretzky, back in the 80s do all these amazing things. But let's admit, if you watch some of the goalies, they just stood there, and guys, he would just get blast shots by them or pass, and the goalie's looking. They're trained differently now, and I think with wrestling, it's the same. Guys take training more seriously. There's more schools out there, and there's a style of wrestling. There's not just one style. There's many styles. There's high flyers. There's power wrestlers. There's guys that are really good on the mic, but maybe not so good on the ring. In the ring, there's guys that are amazing in the ring and maybe not so good on the mic. Managers, in wrestling, if you kind of maybe not a soccer guy or a basketball guy or a football guy or a hockey guy, there's wrestling, and it's for the rest of us. What I don't like to say the rest of us, because I am a football guy and I am a hockey guy and I love sports in general. But when I got in front of a crowd and I could make them react the way I wanted them to, it's like no other high I've ever had and no other feeling I've ever had. To be able to command 200-300 people and make them boo you because of the story you're telling with your opponent, that's powerful. And I was addicted right away. I'm an addict, I'm a recovering addict. I should say I'm not an addict. I don't sit there and blast away anymore. But I'm an addict, so this fills what I need in my life.
So Massive, a little question about that to tie into what you were saying. You have played both the face, which is a good guy. See, I'm learning, and a heel. Right now you shifted back into the heels side of things. What do you prefer as a character? Do you prefer playing the face? Do you prefer being the heel?
Well, you get benefits to both. So a heel normally leads the match. The good thing about being me is I can wrestle and I can talk. So as a heel, I usually kind of get, I don't want to say top billing, but I get put up with better guys, or even just guys that aren't so good that need to be brought through a match because they need a veteran in the ring to kind of guide them through stuff. But as a good heel, you kind of get better bookings. You make a little bit more money because without your bad guy, you can't have a good guy. You have got to have an incredible bad guy to make that good guy, be everybody's hero. The bad guy is very important. I prefer to be the bad guy because I like to think I'm one of the better guys in this industry, in this business in Western Canada. I got 30 years. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I recently was on AEW tapings. I've been on WCW tapings, ECW tapings. I was trained by a legend, Leo Burke. I've been in presence with Harley Race, Nick Bockwinkel, guys that know this business. And when I met these guys, I was just picking their brains. Can you explain this to me? How did you do this? How do you command a crowd like this? That's how you learn. That's, it goes back to why are people so good? People are interested in wrestling, and there's more training, and you can go online and see training now, and learn how to do things. And there's lots of different shows. WWE has 3 shows on TV. AEW has 3 shows on TV. So you see it all the time. And like you said, wrestling is really thriving right now.
You do some camps as well, right? Like you mentioned that you work with kids a lot and you bring young guys in and you do some training. Have you got anything coming up here in the next little while? I know that took a bit of a break here in the winter, but you're bringing that back, right?
Well, I used to run mini camps. And the thing about a mini camp is you get 10 people all at once, but everybody learns at different rates. And you might have 2 guys or 3 guys that are similar, but you always have guys that are exceptional and guys that I hate to say it, but they lag, and that's just some guys pick it up faster. Some guys are more athletic. Some guys just get it, right? So what we've been doing now, instead of having 10 people at once, we're doing one-on-one 2-day tryouts. And those have been going super successful because then you get 2 days just to hang out with a guy and let him know what you're all about. And in 2 days with one person, you can get a lot done because it's just one person. You're not, slowing down because this guy didn't pick up a roll. So you got to show that one guy this, and then the next drill you go through, this guy didn't pick up, a bump. So now we're stopped and we have to go back and do bumps because somebody didn't pick it up. Well, that takes time and it kind of kills for the guys that are maybe picking up faster. So for me now, I've learned how to kind of, streamline my training, I guess, and okay. I could teach guys faster. The amazing thing is, like, it used to take 3-4 months before guys are having matches. Now guys are having them in 2 months, 6 weeks. Wow. Just because I've been able to work just one-on-one with guys. You can teach them a lot if you get a good guy. There's still guys that take 3-6 months to train, but those, I was one of those guys. It took me a little bit longer to pick it up, but I wanted to do it right. And I wanted to understand all the aspects of the business. The one thing about wrestling that a lot of people don't get is the question, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing it here? You have to answer that question, and it has to make sense. And the psychology of wrestling, believe it or not, is a lot more for the good leagues. If you want to go and see a show and be entertained, it's the psychology, it's the storylines, it's the good versus evil. And that's what we're trying to portray. And just when you think you've got all the answers, the booker's got to throw a twist in there that you don't see coming.
Where are you at with Jimmy's training?
Jimmy's, with this whole locker room shutting down, he's struggling. He hasn't been around for a couple of months now. They are putting a ton of pressure on him, and they're giving him all sorts of jobs. And I think he's buckling. And we know he went on a little bit of a bender there. I think he's through that because I have talked to him a few times, but he literally told me he's overwhelmed. So he did a match, and he trained really hard for it, and he had a really good little match. We put him in with one of my, better trained wrestlers, and they did some comedy, right? That's what you do. That's what you do with these guys. Man, back in my day, you used to get these hilarious matches where they'd be running back and forth. One guy'd run the ropes and the other guy'd run the ropes, and they're small guys. So it's 30 steps across the ring. And then the good guy stops and holds the rope and watches the other guy keep running until he falls down, right? Comedy stuff, right? Or we call it the pitch and catch, where the good midget goes to pin the bad midget. The bad midget kicks out, and the fucking ref catches him and then throws him back on. 1, 2. He kicks out, catches him, throws him back on. 1, 2. So then the bad midget gets up and says, "Hey, you can't do that. If you catch a midget, you toss him." So the ref is doing, okay, catch the midget, toss him. So then right away, the bad midget sweeps the leg. The good midget kicks out. The ref catches him, and he tosses him. And then the heel freaks out. The crowds, the kids laugh. The crowds get a kick out of it because it's comedy, and that's what it's meant to do. You're meant to have a laugh with these guys, and that's to make our lives a
Jimmy's
little bit
awesome
better.
At it. He's awesome
amazing.
Jimmy, the humility.
Jimmy makes connections because he's small. Every little kid is fascinated with him. When he was bad, he played it so good that little kids wanted to fight him. It was like you can't make it up. He'd come to me after saying, "Acid, that little girl tried to beat me up. I was scared." I was just dying laughing.
We had a massive. I got to tell this story because Dean will appreciate this. So James P. White is he's had a bunch of different characters within Monster Pro Wrestling over the last couple of years. But what Massive is talking about is his debut fight as Little Pedro. So he put on a mask and everything like the thing that I found,
like a luchador,
luchador mask.
Yes,
100%,
like a little luchador.
Yeah, we got a picture coming up with the Locker Room Retro replay because it's about us talking about Monster Pro Wrestling on the show. We'll get to that, and you'll get to see a picture of it. But the funny thing was we never called him Little Pedro. We changed his name.
Little Juan.
Little Juan. He was Little Juan, but we changed it to Little Pedro and Little Patrick, and he got so mad. And the funny thing about his first appearance in his outfit, Jimmy didn't really take the necessary steps to strap his dick down. So he had this little penis sticking out, and we brought it up right away. And we called Massive on the show, and we're like, "Have you not talked to your boy here? He's got to strap that thing down. He needs a cod piece or something." Yeah, he's showing helmets.
The cod piece.
Yeah, so we had a whole week of shows about his penis and
cod piece. You guys had a contest or something. Send something. What could we use for Jimmy's cod piece? He's a conversation all by himself. Literally,
and I want to get to that
he's
too.
A beauty.
Before we get to, I've got a little clip of Jimmy doing some Monster Pro Wrestling training and a bumper commercial that he did for you guys. I want to play it. I'll introduce people to Jimmy. He's incredible.
Oh, you have to. He's gold.
Is there not an industry-wide movement to do something about not showing helmet in some of those outfits? At some point, Massive, because I went through a whole bunch of your stuff, and I was looking at some of the guys in tights, which is it's part of the deal, right? But there's so much helmet in some of those pictures.
I guess that's why the girls come to our show. I don't know what to tell you, man. The guys that like guys, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, I mean, it just leaves not very much of the imagination. Anyway, this is
Jimmy. There's a little homoerotic thing going on here with wrestling.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah, I have a singlet, and it covers all my junk very well, I would like to think. So
I also wear
under trunks. So I wear under trunks. Which
get Jimmy up there is what we're saying.
Yeah,
let's show.
We got him. We sorted him out. We sorted him out.
Yeah. A little piece of cabbage in there or something. Just
sizes are odd for that guy, though. It's like he's a small guy, but he takes like a 3X underwear because his ass is huge.
He's got a big dumper. Actually, it's one of his better attributes. He's got a nice
great ass. He's got a great little
Kardashian.
Yeah, he does. Anyway, here's Jimmy doing some Monster Pro Wrestling stuff. Let's watch.
This is our giant Jim from the Carnival of Chaos at Monster Pro Wrestling. I'm so looking forward to the show this Saturday. It's an outdoor show, and as you see, everybody's working hard, and we are giving away tickets on the Locker Room for the rest of the week. Join us on 95.7 Cruise FM from 5:30 to 10. Get your chance to come see the show outside.
Top outfit is gold.
Yeah.
Giant
What a little
Jim.
cutie. Yeah. You're not giving.
By
those
the
tickets
way,
away anymore.
we'll get to some details on some shows and whatnot. I know Dean wants to actually pivot here and talk a little bit about a documentary that you were involved in.
I do, but I want to ask him a question about Jimmy first of all, because I know that he's all hot about political correctness. Like, you know, when the whole thing started, because little people are a huge part of your business, right? Jimmy loves it, community. Like, is it getting more difficult to do shows because of the PR shit? Like, do you get people come up to you after going, I really enjoyed the program, Massive, but the midget tossing's just a little too much for me and my family. Like, do you get some of that still? It's got to be tough.
You're always going to get people who are offended by this and by that. It doesn't matter what I do. You can't please everybody, and you know that. You know. So
yeah, I know, but my point is, like, you give Jimmy a lot of purpose, right? Like, he loves it. He's in. You gotta, and he wants
giving him Massive's giving him a community.
You're giving him a community. He's your friend. He's part of the routine. And it's a gimmick in as much as like a 7-footer is a gimmick, in as much as an enormous woman is a gimmick, in as much as massive damage is a gimmick. But it's like people, you know, and I hear it all the time because there's been times we've had Jimmy on the show. People are like, I'm never watching the show again because you had a midget on, and I don't think you should call him a midget. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what he calls himself, and I don't know what your problem is. Like we touched on it off the top of the show. Like, that part of your business seems to be a real touchy portion of the business. And for a throwback like you that still, you know, guards the fanny pack with his life, it's got to piss you right the fuck off.
It doesn't. You know, like, here's the thing, man, is I respect everybody's opinion. Everybody has an opinion, and that's yours. And if it's not the same as mine, that's great. The thing is Monster Pro Wrestling is mine, and I do a lot of the backstage stuff, and you have the choice to buy a ticket or not. I've never refunded money for a ticket. I've never had somebody come and say, you were so ridiculous that I want a refund. But I have had people say, yeah, I didn't like this. This guy wore this thing on his head. I didn't like it. I was offended because of my religion or this or that. So, you know, and there are times I've adjusted, and there's times people have adjusted because they don't want to offend people, right? I've never, ever had anybody tell me they were offended by me calling any of my friends midgets. I've had several of them. We had one named Liquid. We've talked about this guy several times. As soon as he had a few drinks, after about 3 drinks, he would grow 3 inches and 40 fucking pounds of muscle and just get bigger and bigger and bigger and a louder mouth I can't tell you how many times we had to fight because of this fucking guy would get in shit in the bar, causing fucking riots. He'd be putting on steel-toed boots when we'd be going out to have a drink, you know, like he wasn't all there. He'd have a few drinks and then he wants to get rowdy because he knows he's with the boys, right?
That's right. That's
but
funny.
I mean, but he would. What
the one
another
thing
guy that's amazing
the one thing
entertainer.
about
that's
Jimmy,
the awesome part about your business, right? Like, again, you do not find people can call it LARPing, you can call it whatever you want, you can mock all the acting, you can mock all that other stuff. But the one thing that I have realized is people that are that passionate about backyard wrestling, independent wrestling. The goal is never to make it. And you've been on big time wrestling shows, AEW, WCW. That's always the goal. But you love it so much that it's not the goal. Like, the journey and the community and the people that you give a space to just be themselves. That's the goal. That's what it feels like with guys.
And you know what? I want to jump in here quickly. Just to say something, because I'm very close with Jimmy. He's still one of my best friends, even though the show was separated prematurely by, don't want to go down that path. But anyway, Jimmy years ago made a very personal decision about the word midget, and decided that he was going to take the power away from it and started using it himself. And that is something that he told me and he told Massive, and we respected that. And if Jimmy had come to Massive and said, I don't feel comfortable with that word and I don't want to use it when we're performing, Massive would have accepted that, and it would have been the end of the discussion, right? The same thing on the show, right? Like, we used it for a long time until we started getting complaints, and then we stopped using it. And Jimmy was okay with our decision to use it at the beginning, and he was okay with our the decision to not use it because somebody was offended, right? So you adjust. Even though you are a throwback, You adjust to the times.
Exactly. And like, I'll give you my example is when I turned heel, my speech, my partner, Frankie, he was a little concerned about one of the words I used. I'll tell you right now, I grabbed the mic and I said, when this company started, there were monsters in this company. Guys that were 6'8", 300 pounds. Literal monsters. But now I've watched over the last 20 years, I've watched these monsters die out, and it's a different generation. So now I'm branding MPW as mostly pussy wrestlers. And that was he didn't want me to use that word. You can't use the word pussy. I said, I'm not saying I'm going to fuck a pussy. I'm saying I'm calling people a pussy. It's a totally different thing. But my partner gave me slack over it. The result of the show was we had 200 people standing, laughing at me and chanting, massive pussy, massive pussy. And I was losing my mind. Don't you call me that. That's what I'm not a pussy. And my partner, after Frankie comes, he goes, okay, you're right. But that's what I'm saying. I went with it and I said, fuck it. I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not offending anybody. I'm using a goddamn word. We're fucking, for the lack of better, we're actors. I'm trying to get a rise out of you. I want you to boo me. I want you to call me a pussy. That's the whole fucking idea.
Yeah, ginning people up. I just real quick. Speaking of actors, I know that's part of the game. Did you know Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also was an actor?
He can go fucking suck a dick.
I like.
You say I'm a throwback. I'm a throwback to government too, when governments didn't tax your fucking assholes off and fucking give tens of millions of dollars away to every other fucking country instead of worried about your own. Yeah. Trudeau can suck a fucking bag of dicks for all I'm fucking concerned.
Bag of them. Yeah, I got that one.
Oh, he's fucked. He's fucked our country up. He's fucked our country
Dean, I would like to remind you that you were wondering whether or not we should play the disclaimer intro before today's show.
You know what? I'm really
sorry.
No. What are you sorry for? I mean, we got a country of diverse opinions, right?
That's the thing. And guess what? This is what I get offended by. Yeah. I have an opinion.
Yeah.
I should be allowed under the fucking Freedom of Speech Act to express my opinion.
I don't think
that's what it is. That's what it is. But you don't anymore. You fucking don't anymore. This guy's trying to take our fucking rights away. It's not even just the money anymore. He's taking our rights away. He's the reason why we have a bunch of fucking pussies in our society, and you can't say the goddamn word midget anymore because of fucking idiots like him in government. Fuck yeah.
You know what? It's interesting because the more people I talk to, Lochlin and I are very, we think differently. I love the fact that people are allowed to voice their opinion. I take no offense to someone who hates Justin Trudeau, in as much as I take no offense to anybody who hates Pierre Poilievre, in as much as because we all know that politicians are not here to help us, right? Like we all understand that. So
you try to vote for the least greasiest politician. Yeah, that's the fucking sad part of life.
Politician with the smallest boot, because it'll end up in your rectum, right? Like everybody understands that.
Yeah, we do get it.
But it's amazing because the progressive society that we live in, or the people that are trying to be overly progressive, give like people in the middle, like Lochlin, like you, like me, a terrible name, right? We're like, hey, we're good with whatever. I'll call you whatever you want, like the whole pronoun thing. That gets overblown into this thing of those like he, she, it, they, me, you, what. And I'm like, hey, you just give me your name. I don't care what your name is. But where we go wrong, and that's why I asked you about the, and when you started talking about what you call Jimmy and as a little person, it's a midget thing because it's a gimmick thing and it's part of your business. And I could see the frustration mounting because it's like, hey, look, before time, we were really inclusive people that accepted everybody into our society. Now you're changing our rules, right? You're changing how we talk to each other. You're changing what's important and what isn't. And I find it interesting when it comes to the business of entertainment, right? Is that whether it's comedians, whether it's one-man shows, whether it's movies, there are things you can't do in certain entertaining industries anymore. And I can see the frustration that comes from you. But, it's fascinating because, like, everybody's in that boat. Everybody sits back and goes, hey, listen, am I not allowed to say these words anymore? Tell me why. Explain it to me. And we've gone so overboard. And Lochlin and I talk about this all the time. we are up each other's asses with telling each other what we can and cannot say, what we can and cannot do, as opposed to just letting people be them fucking selves.
Or having an appreciation from the perspective that they come from, even if you don't agree.
Yeah.
Right. Like yesterday we had David Parker on, and I don't agree with his stance on just about everything, but I do agree with the stance that Dean has taken and that David Parker has taken, in that, all right, listen, we have to stop. The divisiveness has to stop. This constant battle between these two sides.
Telling everybody they got to live, right?
Yeah, and sitting down and having a conversation and getting to where they're coming from, I think is productive. Even if you don't have to agree with this individual, right?
No.
And I've had a couple of people come after me in the last 24 hours based on that podcast running yesterday, saying, "Why are you doing this?" And I'm like, well, because you know what? I think it's important that we actually open up the doors to that conversation, because I think that's the only way we're gonna highlight the hypocrisy on both sides and figure out where we are and how we move forward. And then I like one person, I made a comment. I'm like, I don't agree with Dean half the time. You're telling me I shouldn't do a podcast with him, right? Like, just because we had David Parker on doesn't make Dean and I full now, because we don't agree with him. We're just opening up the door to the conversation. And I think it's important to also be self-aware in these moments, right? And take a look at what your hypocrisies might be.
That's what Massive is saying. Like what he's saying, which is incredible,
100%.
right? What he's saying is, I'll call you whatever you want. But he's tired, like everybody else is clued into this in the last couple of years, of being, and we get this all the time too, is that you can't say that. You can't do that. Well, listen, if it offended you, that's a you fucking problem at this point, right? And we're starting to see people push back, not against individuals, but push back against the idea that Massive Damage is allowed to have a little person in his show. Suck it.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I hope I don't get you in trouble for this, but when I was on the playground in grade school, I can't tell you how many people would call me a faggot. Like, they weren't calling me gay or anything. It's a fucking term. Did I take it personally? No. We're fucking around and we're playing. But I'm just saying, it's a one word that everybody is blown out of fucking proportion, like the word midget. You cannot say that fucking word. Good Lord, what have we come to? We're not allowed to have our own opinions and say what we want to say. So everybody else is allowed to, but we're not. All these people,
I think that
touches you professionally, though. Like, that's the thing about it, right? Like, there's a personal attachment everybody has to the way they grew up, what they think is right, the values that they have, all that other shit.
Of course.
But when it comes to entertainment, where someone's like, "Hey, you're a bad person. You're a terrible human being because you watched the Chappelle show, right?
Yeah.
You're a terrible human being because you laughed at two little people wrestling at Monster Pro Wrestling. You're an awful person." It's that judgment piece which Lochlin hates as much as everybody else, where you're like,
well,
I think everybody
me too, because the whole idea was we're trying to make you laugh.
Yeah.
That was our plan. The whole idea is we're trying to entertain you people. That's why
I do want to say this, though. When there is a moment where a group or whatever it is, a faction of society is marginalized, and if they choose that a word is not appropriate, then I think we all have to follow suit, right? And the
100%.
F word is definitely one of those words where, listen, that represents something now that that is not.
It's like the N word. It's like all those words. I do understand that. I'm just saying, as a kid, you could say all that stuff on the playground. I heard that a million times. Now you're almost going to go to jail for saying the bloody word. That's where our society is fucked. We're supposed to be able to say what we want to do. Whether I'm the fucking crazy old 90-year-old hillbilly on the fucking porch with my shotgun in my hand or whatever, I'm still allowed to be that guy. That's who I am, or whatever. I'm just trying to make my point is that it's just as a society and fucking idiots like Trudeau have made it. So we're all fucking soft. We can't say words. Like, fuck off. Can't say midget.
Because you don't like
you can't say midget. You can't say midget. It just, to me, that's just other words. Weird. I do understand, and I'm not trying to say those words are right. My point is that those words 20, 30 years ago would roll off your back. And now they're almost like you're going to go to jail. To me, shouldn't we be more worried about our homeless? Shouldn't we be more worried about our fucking veterans? Ourselves, maybe even, it just, to me, that just blows me away.
Yeah,
We've just become such a soft society.
Oh, we definitely have. There's a point there. But again, I think it's part of that process that we're going through, and you got to listen. Yeah. And we are all of us are better at it. And I know that's something that I've worked on. And Dean gets annoyed when I do this. But my 3-part plan to save humanity: figure out who you are. Number 2, learn to live with that person. Number 3, stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. But that judgment piece is the one that we're hanging on to. We still do it, and it still causes us a great deal of problems in society. And I think it's the root of everything that we're dealing with. Yeah.
You need to adapt. You need to adapt. I work a lot in the Indigenous community. They do not like to be called Aboriginals. They prefer to be called Indigenous. I learned that. But I will gladly say that word if that's what you prefer to be, referred to as. And that's what I'm saying. We do have to change and adapt, but that's a whole culture of people.
But do we have to kill each other over it?
No,
can we not say midget entertainers? That's you know what I mean. Yeah. I just think we're taking it too far.
Yeah,
I think is what my point is. We're soft.
I
can't say anything.
I don't disagree with you, dude. And you talk about inclusiveness. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this documentary that you're part of, which deals with independent wrestling, the love of independent wrestling, and the outreach involved in your community. Tell us a little bit about it. The Death Tour documentary.
Yeah, so we're very blessed. There's a tour called the Death Tour. It's been going for 51 years now. Tony Condello out of Winnipeg promotes it. Chris Jericho is the executive producer of it. So the Death Tour, basically back in the day, it got dubbed the Death Tour because when you go to these communities, and they're Indigenous communities in northern Manitoba, if there is a death on the community, they shut the community down. Period. No school, no wrestling shows, stores aren't open. It is shut down. They grieve. And last tour that we went on, we had the matriarch Sage Morin, we had Wavell Star Blankets, Wavell Star, and a few other Indigenous people with us. So the community started to open up that a lot of the deaths are suicides, which we had no idea about. So literally on last year's tour, we learned a lot of these things. And that's kind of what this documentary kind of covers, some of the hardships of what these people go through. But for wrestlers, for us, it's a chance to wrestle, for 15 days in a row, every day, and learn every day. Because there's always veterans there that are going to say, this is what you did wrong today. We're going to do this better tomorrow night, or we're going to put you with this other person tomorrow night, and they're going to guide you through this because this is what you need. And literally, you can just watch someone's career almost start to form on one of these tours because there's nothing like it anymore unless you're signed with a big league. And you need these tours to get signed with those big leagues. So it's one of the last one of its kind. And back in the day, it was one of our regular stops because the promoter pays well. You are isolated. And like I said, the documentary, we went to Slam Dance, and it's being released in Canada, I think, in September. I don't have any kind of date yet, but I think it's a really, really powerful, the way the documentary went. I didn't know what to expect, but I think there's some powerful messages in there. Like for instance, the culture. Some of these guys, they're not allowed to do powwows. Some of these guys aren't allowed to do sweat lodges because they've been told it's evil. And this is their culture. So this opened up my eyes to a lot of things, and I hope it opens up, everybody else's eyes. And even just to some of the conditions, like one of these places I told Locke, we went, they didn't have drinking water. You had to go buy it. So $150 for a case of 15 big bottles of water. $150 to have something to keep you alive.
Jesus.
And you're going to need that weekly. That's
2023. In 2023,
they
when
don't
you guys
have
take
running
that?
Water. Yeah, 2023. Yeah.
So here, I want to play it's fascinating, the outreach in that community, what you do, what the wrestling community does for Canadians, what it wants to do for people. The documentary looks absolutely incredible, documenting these tours. And I'll play a little bit. This is a trailer for it. It's called the Death Tour Documentary. If you Google Death Tour Documentary, you'll be able to get all the information on when this does get released. And you're right. Fall apparently is when this tour documentary. So if you're an indie wrestler, or if you're a fan of Canadiana, or if you're just a fan of altruism, this is incredible. Let's have a little watch. It's about a minute long. Death Tour Documentary.
We had always heard the stories, the famous joke. Tony would always try to play on anyone that was new. He'll creep across the ice and he'll go, "Oh, do you hear that? What? Do you hear what?" I think I hear that fucking ice cracking. You hear it underneath us? I think we're gonna fall. Some of the people that were there, they're falling for it. People kind of get a little itchy. So as we're creeping along the ice, suddenly you hear the noise. You hear the cracking. And next thing you know, I look ahead and you see the van ahead of us just go boom. And it falls, half the van falls into the lake. And you see the van door slide out and people are jumping out of the van. People are traumatized.
You muted my mic, boss.
Yeah, you muted your mic.
There. You muted me.
I had to because we were playing this clip and I wanted to get the audio version of it. Sorry, buddy. It's not.
I'm bitching at Locke. He told me I muted my mic. I didn't fucking do shit, Locke.
No. By the way, before we got on this podcast, you know what Lochlin said about you? He said in a minute he could probably take you out. And
He couldn't fucking tie my wrestling boots. Couldn't tie them. And he wouldn't try. And he knows me better than that.
Do me a favor.
Dean, do you know what I did also? You know where else Locke and I know each other from? No. I did a lot of security back in my days. I'm pretty sure I escorted Locke out of a few bars back in the day. But I was nice about it. Wasn't I?
Okay, so hey, listen. One thing I want to do. I want to do a little bit of business here. I want to do a little bit of business. We have to.
No, we're digging into. All right. He took you out of a bar. I want to know.
No. Probably 30 times. Anyway, listen, the Death Tour doc is going to drop in September. As soon as you have dates on that, Massive, we will bring you back, okay? Yeah. Because I want to get, we need to get more into this doc. I'm very interested in this whole thing, and I think it's really cool that you were a part of this thing. So good for you. We got a show in May in Fort McMurray. So if you're listening,
we're returning.
May 11th, Monster Pro Wrestling is in Fort Mac, so we'll have more information on that. Make sure you look into tickets up there. And the next Monster Pro Wrestling show is happening next Friday, April 5th. It's called Meltdown. Okay, so you can get your tickets. You can send me a note. I'll send you whatever whatever information you need. But you can email mp wrestlingevents@gmail.com. It's $20 in advance, so you might want to get the tickets ahead of the door. $25 at the door. As always, these are happening at the Alberta Avenue Community Hall, a 7 p.m. bell, free parking. And if you want to get on the Locker Room MPW guest list, send me a note on any form of social media. I've got 10 spots. The first 10 people are going to get to go. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that we did get that information out. Thank you for jumping on board today, Massive, and having a little chat with us. That's awesome.
No, this is a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Dean, you're everything I expected. You're a lot smart. You're smarter than I thought you'd be.
Yeah. And a lot of people say that, which I don't know if that's an insult or if it's a compliment.
No, it's good. I love the way you put Locke in his place.
Dude, he was flipping you huge before we got on this podcast.
I have fun with him too.
Yeah. Oh no, he was mouthing you off. He was like, "Hey, listen, he looks big, but he's soft." He called.
He laughs at me because I'm what do you call it?
Technologically challenged.
Yeah, fuck off, Locke. I don't give a fuck if you can work a computer better than me. I'll fucking fold you like a fucking sheet in your clothes. I love you, Locke.
Massive,
it's good to see you, man.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.
Dude, anytime. I want you back. I want stories. We haven't got it into your injury history. We haven't gotten into your 30 years. We haven't gotten into your time with AEW, WCW. So we want to get to know you. This is the first of many. Really appreciate it, Monster. Thank you so much. Massive. Monster Pro Wrestling, Facebook, Monster Pro Wrestling, anywhere you get it. Lochlin has lots of details. Follow him at Lochlin Cross, and give this gentleman a follow anywhere you can. Dude, appreciate you. As always, great to finally meet you.
Yeah, you too, Dean. Thanks for having me, guys, and I hope to see all the Edmonton fans April 5th.
April 5th it is. Talk to you soon, brother.
You got it. Thanks.
Bye-bye. There he is, Massive Damage for Monster Pro Wrestling. Dude, you have the best friends.
Oh,
like he is such a good dude. Salt of the earth.
You know what? You know what? And we kind of touched on it a little bit, but after COVID, man, his business took a major loss, and he lost a bunch of equipment and the whole 9 yards. And he phoned me, and we promoted for I think a good half a year. We promoted his shows for free, and he called me. I think it was after the third or fourth one, and he's like, I've never seen crowds like this before. So people responded really, really well to it. And he's just been on a roll ever since. He's getting 200, 300, 400 people out for these Friday night events. And I've never gotten it. I've never understood the wrestling. And I've been very honest about that. On the locker room, I teased Jimmy and him about the skits and all this stuff. But I did go out. I made an appearance when Jimmy's Little Juan or Little Pedro, whatever the hell you want to call him, Big Jim or Monster Jim, or what, we messed with his name every time he decided he had a new name in his wrestling skits. And I went out, and Dean, there was about 10 of us. We went in there, grabbed beer, sat down, and I never laughed so hard in my life.
Dude, if you haven't been to an independent wrestling show, and I have been to several, and I am not a wrestling guy.
I'm not a wrestling guy at all.
To your point, it might be the most fun that you'll have out for $15 at a live event. $15, you get to see all of it happen. You see wardrobe malfunctions. You see helmet. You see little people fighting big people. You see people giving it all. And here's the fucking great part about that is you get to see people, right? It's like going to a World Junior event. You get to see people who aren't in the bigs. You get to see people who aren't who just do it because they love it.
Yes.
Like it's like an AHL game of guys that are in their 30s, right? It's like, oh, I get this. It's the passion behind it, not necessarily the pageantry, the effort that these guys poured forward. And I want people, you mock anybody you like. That man is real. That is one of the most authentic.
Now you know what I mean by throwback too, right?
Oh my God, I would have that guy on the show weekly. The world according to Massive Damage. Just thoughts that pop into his head that we get to share with the rest of the digital world.
Well, and I was always terrified putting him on the radio because we had about 4 or 5 conversations you just can't not have on terrestrial radio.
Oh, like right today, you mean? Yeah, big time.
Yes.
It was like 45 minutes of like,
we got a dose of the real Massive Damage in his 50s. Been wrestling since he was like in his early 20s.
Doesn't give a shit. He's like,
wakes up every morning, rolls out of bed in pain, right?
Does he do? Does he have his morning cannabis? Is he one of those guys that's like left the dirty world of alcohol behind, gets up, rolls a bit to deal with his pain?
He went sober years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's a whole nother story. Him and I
want to find out about that too. Dude got on top of his addiction. 53 years old. Guy lives a clean life, wants to help people and entertain. I fucking love that guy. Anyway.
Well, and you know what? And I we touched on it a little bit, but the big thing with Massive for me was he gave Jimmy a place, right?
Yeah.
And I'm really worried about Jimmy right now. And I've been on the phone with Massive a couple of times about trying to get Jimmy out because Massive gets Jimmy exercising. He's part of something. Jimmy absolutely loves Massive, loves that wrestling community that they have built with Monster Pro Wrestling, and it's an important part of his life right now. And
we should start streaming Monster Pro Wrestling events. That's what we should do.
Well, I know. Listen, he is in talks with somebody like cable to get it on, but you know what? That's worth the conversation. We probably should.
Yeah.
As our relationship here on Crier develops, we definitely can do something.
Yeah, dude, it's like when you go to a strip joint, it's like amateur night. Do the same thing with wrestling, where you get to wrestle one of 5 people on amateur night, and you have people enter in the Edmonton area who've always wanted to wrestle, and you bring them in and you stream that, like first time wrestlers wrestling guys that have been doing it for like 20 years. Come on. Awesome.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
anyway,
and you know what? Massive does that. Massive brings people in that just he's had
they just show up with sweatpants and knee pads, and they're like, I just want to wrestle. I want to see how it goes.
Dude, Jimmy was telling me one time, and I don't know if she's still in the group, but I think some older lady had shown up and had always wanted to wrestle, and Massive's like, all right, come on in. And she was in her like 50s, I think. And he threw her in. He threw her in. That's just the community. That's the kind of guy he is, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to go, again, find a way to get a hold of me. I'm all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Damn it, I'm even on TikTok. But we'll get you on the guest list. Massive's going to give me 10 spots every month that they do it, and so as soon as they're gone, they're gone. All right. We'll put you on the Lotto MPW guest list.
Speaking of the locker room and Monster Pro Wrestling, I believe the LRR today, the Locker Room Retro Replay of the Day, brought to you by Ardent Roof Systems. Go to ardentroofsystems.com. If you're looking for a guaranteed roof, siding, eaves, trough work, Lochlin doesn't trust anybody else in the Edmonton area, and I wouldn't either if I lived there, other than my friend Mr. Stacy Dissatel at Ardent Roof Systems. What do you have for today's LRR that is Monster Pro Wrestling related?
I came up with a skit. I became a writer, and I pitched my idea to Jimmy. And this is me pitching the idea. The Lock Retro Replay.
I am getting a little bit of pressure from people in my life to go to your fight debut with Monster Pro Wrestling next Friday.
You won't be disappointed, I think.
Don't drive. Because you want to drink if you're at this thing.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can go.
My wife brought it up.
Yeah.
Massive distraction. What is he with Monster Pro Wrestling?
He's the owner.
Okay, so commissioner,
Vince McMahon.
owner, whatever.
No, Bobby Cheeseburger is the commissioner.
No, it's
Freddie Spaghetti.
Freddie Spaghetti?
Sicilian assassin.
Okay, better. Is he Sicilian?
Nino. Yeah. Yes, he's
not
Sicilian.
Portuguese or something.
He's not Portuguese.
He's actually Mexican.
So if you're just tuning in and you're trying to figure out what the hell we're talking about, Jimmy joined this wrestling group in town called Monster Pro Wrestling and has been a member of the group for the last year and a half. Now, he doesn't fight for a variety of reasons, but they figured out a way to include him. He's got a new persona, and next Friday, November 3rd, we have tickets to give away all next week on the Locker Room. We'll be doing that as a parting gift. James P. White will be stepping in the ring as Little Pedro and fighting Big
Little
Pedro.
Juan.
Okay.
So I'm fighting against Pedro.
He's fighting against Big Juan. Little Pedro's fighting Big Juan.
Yeah. So anyway, you knew we were going to screw up your name as soon as you got a new name. Now, I have a couple of questions. One, are you a face or are you
I'm a face.
You're the face?
You're a good guy.
So Big Pedro's the bad guy, the heel or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So my skit will work. So on top of my wife giving me a little bit of
now
pressure.
a writer for MPW.
I want to submit a skit. Okay?
WWE has writers.
Absolutely.
Why can't MPW? Yeah.
Absolutely. Why not me? So Massive, yes, I thought of this because Massive Distraction sent me a text yesterday and said that you've been working really, really hard and that I should try to make an appearance at next Friday's event. So, all right. I've written this. You can present this to Massive Distraction
Calling a massive dildo
and
for
let
a
me
while,
know what
too.
he says, okay?
Real quick, before we get to the end of the Locker Room Retro Replay of the Day, at some point there is a point, correct?
Yeah, I could have edited this one down a bit. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Don't be sorry. Dude, This is why I love you.
All right. So this is how it starts. The lights dim. The Alberta Avenue Community Center patrons get a sniff of BO. Just a touch, though, because little Pedro took his shirt off in the bowels of the building to get ready for his debut epic fight. There's a sense of anticipation in the air as the fans eat their churros. The Mexican national anthem starts. We all take off our sombreros. We jump to our feet because we know it's time for the two Pedros to step into the ring for Monster Pro Wrestling's main event. Large Pedro enters the room. The fans all boo him and throw tacos at him. The crowd is now at a fever pitch for a number of reasons. 1, we've all been drinking tequila and Mountain Dew. 2, the greatest fighter in Mexican history is about to enter the room. There he is. The crowd is bouncing like Mexican jumping beans. In walks the undefeated Little Pedro. Wham, I smoke him with a chair. Let me know what he says.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I am a fan.
You had me
right at the door.
you had me at smoking with a
See
chair.
what I did there? I involved myself in the skit.
Yeah.
By the way, if you go to the Locker Room merch page, you can buy the Little Pedro shirts. They're still up. Jimmy's so mad because they keep selling. He's like, how many of these shirts are you selling? And I'm
tell
like,
you something? I would buy that shirt just to wear it. Fucking put that thing up again. Don't put that down. Where do we find that shirt? Tell me where I can
that's
get my
on the Locker Room merch page. If you hit the Twitter bio, you can click to that and just type in Little Juan or Little Pedro. Because we kept, like I said, his name is Little Juan, but we put Little Pedro on.
Well, I know, yeah. Because why not play up the stereotype while you're doing it with this little person, right? Let's have some fun. It's all making sense now while you're here. Little Pedro shirts you can get at the Locker Room merch page, anywhere you get your Locker Room merch. I'm gonna buy one of these shirts today. I don't even care that they're $25. I don't even care. I want one of those shirts.
Listen, I can get you a deal because you know me. So if you are gonna buy one, send me a note. I'll get it delivered. And we get points because we made so much money last year. I can get you a discount.
Can you is it a free discount?
Printful gives us discount. No, it's not free. It just gives you I don't know.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to talk about it because I don't want one of those shirts unless I don't have to pay for it. But you can order me one anyway. I like it. I think it's a cool shirt. Little Pedro Locker Room merch store.
You can put them up on the Dean store if you want.
I would do it. I would totally do it. Yeah. Little Pedro shirts. You might as well. You want to take a flyer and come back tomorrow? We've got a lot of stuff to get to, including P-Diddy, but we're closing in on the hour. And I also want to talk
let's
about
let's do the P-Diddy thing really quick because I'm fascinated by this.
Dude, it is getting gross.
It's getting really bizarre.
I've been shocked by things before. You know, when you hear rumors about things and all of a sudden, oh yeah, okay, well that makes sense. Because it all comes out. Could be a story about, a hockey player and banging someone's wife. It could be a story and it's like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. And then all of a sudden the truth comes out. This P-Diddy thing is so huge. It's hard to imagine. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it.
I saw them covering it on CNN last night.
Dude.
Wolf Blitzer.
Let me just kind of give you the Coles notes. Yeah, Wolf.
Said P-Diddy.
Yeah. I know. I laugh every time I see Wolf Blitzer do anything because he's like, everything's a situation, right? We're here in the situation room.
We're following breaking news. And he doesn't move? His head doesn't move?
No, he doesn't move, but he always looks shocked about every piece of information that he's delivering. Wolf Blitzer. He's like,
you know what?
Puff Daddy was found on an airplane in Cape Verde, and you're in the situation room. And I'm like, it's not really a situation. It's just.
And he looks like a garden gnome too. Am I the only one that thinks he looks like a garden gnome?
No, but he's a Bills fan, so I'm okay with him. Anyway, so yeah, this story's massive. As you all know, Puff Daddy is on the run from Homeland Security and the FBI and the CIA. Of course, all of his homes across America were raided. Videos of them turning everything upside down. No one knows what they have on him. Now other videos are coming out. We talked about Puff Daddy the other day with the Bieber video, which is awfully creepy, and a bunch of other videos are coming out. There's leaked audio of him apparently having sex with Meek Mill. Stories of child trafficking that are getting expansive by the day, and now people are talking, right? Now people that know him are talking, including E Ness, who was part of Diddy's crew back when he had a show called Making the Band. Do you remember that? Making the Band?
I do remember that show, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big show. And they're outing Puff Daddy as this guy who is exactly who everybody's reporting on him being, which is this sex trafficking, pedophilic, bisexual who just basically used and abused human beings, underage or overage, to get information and blackmail these people. And he's been doing it for like the last 20 years. E Ness is like one of his best friends, hasn't talked to him in years and has been keeping a low profile. He's on a podcast the other day and he's talking about it. I want to play this for you. This is bananas. And listen, this is not my speech. This is E Ness's speech. You allow these people to say what they think. And dude, this is only one of 50 Cent has come out. Cat Williams has come out. There are so many people, hundreds and hundreds of people are coming out with accounts exactly like this about Puff Daddy's secret society of blackmailing people with sex, and he's going to be the one to do it that goes down the hallway and opens up a door. Let's watch this together.
He always respected me as a lyricist and as a writer. And that's what kept me up there from 2002 to 2009.
Well, did you at least see any parties or been to his parties? The infamous Diddy parties that everybody talks about?
I've been to the parties, but like I said, I don't know. They select you. You're selected.
Be more descriptive.
I'm gonna be more selective. You have to fit a certain description. You have to fit a certain mannerism for you to be led down that hallway with the door.
Hold on. Yo, don't do that.
I'm giving it to you real. You have to fit a certain description, a certain mannerism, a body type, of type of mannerism, of type of mentality for you to get led down that hallway with the doors.
Somebody said a pretty looking boy.
Time out. Wait a minute. Time out. What I want to ask you at that time, like why? Why am I being excluded from this? That didn't like raise your antennas of that?
Me being young, and at that time I just wanted to be famous and I wanted to be a superstar off of rap music.
Yeah, but something you didn't want to be in those parties? Hold on. Something's behind that closed door, right?
Bro, but it wasn't out like it is now. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, but you want to know.
You can go on the internet and
but he's probably not looking at it.
It's not out like it is now. It was still taboo. Nobody was speaking on it.
Yeah.
You couldn't speak on it. You didn't have a network of people that could huddle up and talk about it. Yeah, that network of people outweighed yours by far.
Yeah.
You would get pushed into a little corner talking about who's this and who's that.
Yeah.
You would run into a brick wall because it would be those on the other side.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Let me keep it a bean with you. The way they attack you is through photo shoots and video shoots. They send in the stylists. If you're getting your hair braided, one of those two guys might be not the way you think they should be. And if you're showing them the most love and yippity yappity with them, that's the battlefield. That's where they see, oh, he had a lot of rap for the guy over here.
Right.
He's one of them.
All right.
That's
what I'm talking about.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They can see who it is. Who's who.
Yeah, they just Ness, I wear my pants off my ass. I wear jerseys. I smoke weed all day. I'm bringing bitches in and out the house. Ness is not the candidate.
That's right.
You wasn't
Ness is
like that.
Ness is not the candidate for the bullshit.
You wasn't like that.
Nah,
so
I'm not the candidate.
Let me ask you this. Who out the group of that, who y'all was with, was kind of...
I don't know. I was paying attention to the bitches.
And that's one of dozens. It's come out in the last like 48 hours.
This whole thing is just insane.
Yeah.
Found him yet?
Well, and what he's talking about there, let me kind of break that down and watch that a few times. What he's talking about there is Puff Daddy and his crew are openly bisexual and have a penchant for young men, right? Well, that's what he's talking about there. E Ness is like one of his closest. Hasn't talked to him, has kept his mouth shut for decades. He's not part of that crew. He's just a straight up guy, wants to do music, wants to smoke weed, wants to have ladies over. And they're like, yeah, it's not part of that crew. So what he's saying is that Puff Daddy's MO was they would send in a stylist to scope out whether or not the people that were involved or the people they were scoping out to be part of that blackmail, let's get him in so we can have some sex, some gay sex. Let's compromise him by putting him in a position where that person wouldn't want to know that this part of their life comes out. And Mr. Ness was not part of that because he was heterosexual and wasn't buying.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not here for that. I'm here to be famous. I'm here to do music. I'm here to do that job. And I'm not gay. Like I'm just straight. And so that has been one of the really quiet, loud rumors over the past, I would say maybe decade and a bit, is that Puff Daddy is pansexual. He likes to give her with everybody he can. Now, the darker part of that is coming out, how they would go and scope out and use power to blackmail people, which is like Epstein 101, and it's been going on 20 fucking years. And now everybody's not afraid to talk about it, to the point where not only is this all of this shit coming out, but dude, like major news outlets, as you've pointed out, are giving all the details of some of the most, and this is from Fox News, and I grabbed this from Fox News for a reason. It's because they went above and beyond to hide the Epstein shit. Okay? This is Jesse Waters giving, and I actually fact-checked Jesse Waters yesterday. He's 100% right. These are the details and what's been alleged by Lil Rod that has led to this incredible scene that we're seeing around Puff Daddy.
It was Lil Rod's lawsuit that he brought towards him a couple months back that has led to this. That has led
pictures. You can go to Crier Media. You can actually see the actual lawsuit. I've posted it to Crier Media, so you can actually see it. But these are the allegations in a nutshell by Jesse Waters on Fox. It's actually real. Watch this.
His freak out parties. In attendance were celebrities, politicians, athletes, international dignitaries like British royalty, Prince Harry, and music label executives. Lil Rod claimed some of the biggest names in the recording industry sponsored these parties with sex workers, drugs, and underage girls. The CEO of Universal Music, Lucian Grange, is named as a defendant. So is the former CEO of Motown Records, Ethiopia, Habert Mariam, and others. Lil Rod says hidden cameras were in every room of Diddy's homes. Lil Rod believes that Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. Salacious tapes of Hollywood's biggest names, including record CEOs and politicians, doing drugs and cavorting with prostitutes and minors. The complaint argues that these freak-off parties were a business model. Young and up-and-coming talent attended and were promised career opportunities and access to music executives. They were then plied with drugs and alcohol, filmed. Some were blackmailed. There was a quid pro quo, according to the complaint. Lil Rod said not only were these music executives sponsoring these parties, they were handing Diddy large sums of cash that he used to pay for the sex workers and drugs. Something tells me the IRS is going to be interested.
Yeah, IRS among others. I mean,
that is interesting that that's Fox.
Yeah.
There's just that. I mean, it's just an interesting wrinkle there.
Very fascinating, isn't it? Crazy shit.
The whole thing, man. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. The whole thing. So they haven't found him yet. He's still missing.
That's the interesting part. They arrested his drug dealer in Miami, some dude named Brendan. And he was there, but they didn't arrest him. So more conversations about whether or not he's a Fed or working with the Feds or was, and
what
him out to pay. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's like
going on.
You know, it's funny.
I kind of like my life.
You know,
I'm gonna take my dog for a walk. Maybe have eggs today.
You know, those cabals people talk about.
Yes, this is a cabal.
Kind of is one, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Crazy. Yeah. Anyway, world turns. We'll come back tomorrow and get to some stuff that we didn't get a chance to get to yesterday, including would you allow your significant other to go through all of your text messages?
We need to deal with that. We also have we have a couple of guests on the show tomorrow. Yeah. We've got my co-hosts from a new show we're doing called Grease Fire, and we have actually pretty significant news. We have a major sponsor that's jumping on board with it before we've even taped an episode. Today's Thursday. What is it? March something? March
Yeah,
28th.
28th. Yep.
Tomorrow, I'm losing track of days. Friday, March 29th is the first taping. And on the podcast tomorrow, we're going to have Aaron and Mel from Greasefire on with us. So
Awesome.
I appreciate you. Yeah, you're going to love Mel. You've met him already, but you're going to love Aaron too. Good cat.
Salt of the earth people, Edmonton, Alberta's finest. Mel Schmiller and your boy Aaron. Greasefire is the name of the show. It's already sponsored. We're going to talk about that tomorrow morning. We'll get to some relationship stuff as well. So join us then. Really appreciate you being here, Locke. Thanks, buddy. Follow Lochlin at Lochlin Cross on Twitter. Locker Room page, Locker Room merch page, including the YouTube page as well. Give them a follow. Thanks to everybody. Really appreciate you being here. As always, we're brought to you by Rome Auto, Rome Car Subscription Company. Go to Rome.auto today. Start your subscription before the end of this month, and you're going to get 150 in gas or EV charging credits. You're also, and this is kind of beautiful, isn't it? If you use promo code Rome with Dean, you'll get another 150% off, $150 off, 150% off. What a deal. $150 off your first month. What is a car subscription? Super simple. Rome is changing the game of car ownership and the economy of car ownership in this country. You get to drive on your own terms with a car subscription, not buying. You never lose money. You get for one payment insurance, routine maintenance, roadside assistance, everything included except for fuel. No lease interest payments, nothing at all. Simply pay as you go. Flexible monthly plans. You can do it for a month. You can do it for a year, 3 months, 6 months. Home delivery and valet. They got 4.9 stars on Google. This is a going concern. Look, if you're looking for a car and you find it impossible to part with your hard-earned money, this is an absolute solution in your life you need to take advantage of. And right now, it's a lot cheaper when you do it with me. Rome with Dean. That's your promo code. Go to Rome.auto, browse cars, sign up, get logged in, and pick your car. Super simple. All you need is a credit card. All you need is a driver's license, and they're going to bring you a car, the car that you want. You can browse through all of them. You can check how it works. You can look at customer testimonials. You can call their customer support team. Beautiful, brilliant solution to car ownership in today's day and age. Go to Rome.auto for more details. Sign up today. Promo code Rome with Dean. Also, speaking of promo codes, you don't need one. You just need to send our friends at Muse Massage Spa a quick email or find them on musemassagespA.com, Toronto's #1 body rub parlor. And they've got a great podcast as well called Muse on the Mic. Patreon version is uncensored. Subscribe there, or their YouTube channel as well. Sexologists and educators and owners of Muse Massage Spa. They want to give you $50 off as a Dean Blundell Show listener. So make sure you get in touch with them any way you can, including musemassagespA.com, their contact section. And they've got a brand new website where you can check out your muses. You can book a treatment. You can have a look at their studios. Super clean, super safe, and they advocate for women in that industry, and they want you to go and experience the Muse Massage Spa difference, and they want you to listen to their podcast. It's really, really good, very entertaining. Emily and Riley are phenomenal. Muse on the Mic is the name of the podcast. Anywhere you get your fine podcast, including Crier Media. We're also brought to you by our friends at Cantork. They make rugged, hardworking torque wrenches, all those solutions under one roof. Oh, man. Colin's one of the kings. He really, really is. Dude manufactured overseas for a long time, and he's like, you know what? I trust Canadian know-how more than anything. He manufactures all of his torque wrenches as Canada's leading industrial tool experts. They offer heavy industry around the world the very best in sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. Every solution under one roof. They even have distribution opportunities, a brand new website where you can scope out all their products and projects and services. They are Canada's leading industrial tool experts. They've been doing it for over 20 years, and they want to do it for you. Heavy machinery, nuclear, railroad. If you have a bolting need, if you have a loosening or fastening need that you need a solution for, these are the best in the world. Colin and his group at Cantork. Check them out online, cantork.com today. And, of course, brought to you by our friends at FactCheck. Go to factcheck.io for more information on how you can get involved in their beta test team. They want you to test their product. They want you to test their software. It is a disinformation-killing piece of equipment that you need in your life. Take agency back over information that you read and join our FactCheck beta test crew, FAKTCHEK.io. FAKTCHEK.io. If you sign up for the FactCheck beta, you can become a FactCheck verified fact checker. Yeah, super simple. And you need this in your life. Everything from social media to news you read to pictures to videos to spoken word. They will judge everything for you so you don't have to. It'll change the world. It'll change your life. It'll change how you look at misinformation and disinformation and what you ask of people. Go to factcheck.com today. Factcheck.io today. FAKTCHEK Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll see you here on this program tomorrow, bright and early, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We record first thing in the morning, talking to world champion barbecuer Mel Schmiller. That'll be tomorrow morning on this very program. And Grease Fire, the name of Lochlin's new show. It's where he's going to learn how to barbecue, which I find fascinating because I was under the impression if you were a Canadian man, you were born with that knowledge. It's part of the deal. Anyway, that's tomorrow. Have a great day. We'll see you then. Bye.